Well, today, I think on the official tip, I want to talk about something that has happened quite frequently in our game.
Mhm.
And a lot of times people don't really understand all that goes into it.
Yeah.
When a fighter gets hit with a punch and then gets hit again while he's down. And so we want to talk about that today on the official tip. What are the proper mechanics for a referee when a fighter is hit when down? Now, as you know, Kenny, in all the sports, and boxing is no exception, the most important thing for an official is a knowledge of the rules of that particular game. And there's nothing different, no difference about that in this game. And when we're talking about when a fighter gets hit and he's down, we want to start out right away with the rule
Yes.
that applies to that.
Yes.
And the rule is that when hitting a fighter who's been knocked down or taking a knee or is getting up from being knocked down or taking a knee, that is a foul. Now, a foul, the rule, however, and it's important to know the rule. The foul, the rule is what dictates the mechanics, which lets everybody know what that foul was and what the proper mechanics are to bring about compliance with that.
Yes.
It's much like in baseball. When that referee, or the umpire rather, calls a strike, he's very clear about that.
Yes.
Where it is, and the reason he does that is to let not only the pitcher and the batter know, but everybody in the stadium. And so for us, we call that the mechanics, okay? And we're going to talk about the proper mechanics to bring about compliance with this rule,
Yes.
okay? Now, the other thing that's important is whether or not that foul was something that was intentional or was unintentional.
Yes.
And that happens that happens in fights. That happens in all sports, okay?
Yes.
So we're going to talk about if there was an intentional. So if it's a foul that's intentional and it causes an injury, and that injury is severe enough to terminate the bout completely or immediately, then the boxer who's caused that injury shall lose by disqualification.
Yes.
That's only if it was intentional, okay? Now, but let's say that he was fouled, but the bout is allowed to continue,
Yes.
okay? It's not severe enough to stop the fight. So if an intentional foul causes an injury and the bout is allowed to continue, then the referee will deduct 2 points. And on a intentional foul, point deductions will be mandatory.
Yes.
There's no question about it. You got to take those points. Now, on the foul that we're talking about today, where a fighter is hit with a legal punch and then is hit with a punch while they're down, one of the things that we want to consider is whether or not there was hesitation and consideration. It's important to remember those terms. Hesitation and consideration prior to committing the foul. Then that foul certainly is going to be deemed to be an intentional foul. Okay? So now we know what the foul is. Now we get to what are the proper mechanics. In other words, what does the referee do? What signs and signals does he use to educate everybody that's involved? The fighter's corner, the fighters themselves, the audience, the supervisors, the commission personnel at the table about what has occurred and what his or her intentions are in dealing with it.
And if I can add something before you continue, you said it very, very well, very eloquently, because this is a very touchy subject. Because, and I'm sure you've seen it just like I've seen it. When we're in the ring, what's the most common hitting a fighter when he's down that we've seen? I've seen it. I've had to address it. And the key thing is that at a given point, us referees have to make a decision on if the punch that was thrown while the fighter was down, how much of an effect did that punch have as opposed to the punch that made him go down.
Right.
So in that split second, we have to make a decision, because that decision that we make follows in the rules that Bird is explaining and getting ready to talk about.
Yeah.
Our mechanics.
Okay. So now let's assume that and if we have a picture of that, we can talk about it. Let's assume that a fighter is hit with a clean punch and he goes down. That punch is legal. Okay? So now, when a legal knockdown has occurred and then he is hit while he is down, mechanically from a referee's point of view, the first thing that referee is going to do is signal that there was a legal knockdown. And then immediately call timeout. Will not start a count, because when that fighter was hit while he was down, that was a foul, and that foul then supersedes, that legal action. Doesn't take it away, but it supersedes that action, okay? So, you will call timeout and you will not start a count, okay? Next thing we do is send that offending fighter, the fighter who hit that, caused that, through that punch, and through the second punch, send them to the neutral corner, okay? At that point, we begin the evaluation of the fighter that was knocked down. Inquire, are you okay? Because the effect of the knockdown could be difficult or it could be negligible, okay? So we want to inquire, are you okay? Now, what we want to do is also, based upon what we see, our evaluation of the fighter and the fighter's response, we may have to call a doctor in, and we want to do that if that is necessary.
If it's necessary.
If it's necessary, then we'll call the doctor in. And now, if the doctor is brought in, okay, and if the fighter says, yes, I'm a little groggy, then I'm going to stay with that fighter and stay with the doctor while we have this conversation as to the physical effect that is now felt by the fighter.
Yes.
Okay. Now, we want to determine, based upon our conversation with the doctor and the fighter, if the fighter can continue. If he can, it's one set of terms. If he can't, there's a whole nother set of rules, okay?
Yeah.
So now what we have to do, based upon that conversation, is make a determination of whether there was hesitation and consideration.
Yeah.
There's that term again.
Yes.
Okay, before that fighter threw that punch. Now, or was it was in the flow of a fight and he hit him and as he was going down and then he hit him again. Or basically what we're saying is, was that punch more concurrent with the flow of the combination as opposed to just him stopping, looking at down, and then doing that, okay, which would constitute that hesitation and consideration.
Did he have time to think?
Right.
That's the key.
Yeah. So now, what we don't want to do as a referee, however, is state what our intentions are at that point. What we What we want to do instead is go to the commission table or the supervisors and inform them what it is that you're going to do, what your intentions are, and why you're going to do that. And the reason you do that is so that they know exactly what it is you're going to do. And if there is some kind of concern or whatever about it, then they have an opportunity to talk about that before you go out and do the next steps in terms of the handling this situation. Okay. Now, if the actions of the offender was, in our opinion, intentional, then we're going to bring that individual to the center of the ring, and we're going to deduct 2 points. Okay, and issue an admonishment to that individual not to do that again.
Right.
Okay. Now, if we're going to now send that offender back to the neutral corner. Okay. What we're going to do, we've taken the points, send him back to the neutral corner. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go to each judge and say to them, score the knockdown, because the knockdown was a legal knockdown.
Right.
But then deduct 2 points. Okay. Each judge, you go to them, score the knockdown, deduct 2 points. Score the knockdown, deduct 2 points. Score the knockdown, deduct 2 points. Okay. Now, once that is done, we go back to the ring center and restart the round or the bout.
Yes.
Okay. Those are the key points in terms of recognizing, number one, what the rule is, what foul occurred, what the rule is, and how you bring about compliance with that rule. It's important, so important, to know the rules, because rules dictate the mechanics which you're going to utilize to show everyone what has occurred and how you're going to properly handle it.
Yes. Very well said, Bird. Very well said. And with what Bird has said, in the way the rules are stated and as to how we are to execute them can change. And they can change depending upon how that fighter went down. Example, and it has happened to me, where the fight is heated, both fighters are throwing, and the fighter gets caught with a punch. It wasn't a third-degree knockdown or a second-degree knockdown, but it was a punch that may have caught him off balance. And as he went down, his opponent was still throwing, and by the time the fighter hit the canvas, that punch has already started and on its way, and he makes contact. He's down, though. He's down. And in that situation, for me, I could see that the down fighter that got hit with a secondary punch while he was down was still okay. He jumped right up. So I picked up the count from the timekeeper. I gave him his mandatory 8 count. I checked him, asking him to move forward or to the side to make sure that he was okay. And he appeared to be totally fine. Okay, no problem. I sent him over to a neutral corner. The fighter that threw the punch that while he was down, I brought him out to the center ring, and I deducted not 2 points, I only deducted a point, because the fighter that he hit while he was down was okay from the time he hit the canvas, and was okay at the time he got hit late. But that's that determining factor that referees have to make when a fighter gets hit with a secondary punch while he's down. There was another situation, quickly, Bird, that I'll throw out too, is that happened to me, and that was a fighter deciding to take a knee.
Yes.
They're exchanging, and he gets hit with a couple of good shots, and he's looking for a way out, so he slightly turns and takes a knee while his opponent is still throwing punches.
Mm-hmm.
Well, his knee touches the ground, which is considered a knockdown, right while the puncher is still trying to engage in hitting him, and the punch just barely grazed him. Wasn't enough to even make any noise about. In that situation, I didn't take any points.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, because it wasn't worth me taking a point, because he wasn't damaged in any way.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time that we tell fighters to protect yourself at all times, that fighter should have protected himself when he chose to take a knee.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Bird.
And there are some examples out there, the key things that are so important in dealing with this. Obviously, number one is knowing what rule applies to what you just saw.
Yes.
And when we do training seminars, and certainly when I do a training seminar, my focus has always been, number one, you got to be able as a referee to determine what it is you're looking at.
Yes.
You're seeing this, but
Yes.
you got to make a determination, what is it that I'm looking at?
Yes.
Okay? And once you do that, and you determine that what you're looking at constitutes a foul, now what you have to do is know the rule that applies to that foul that just occurred.
Yes.
Now, once you have gotten step one, step two, now we go to step three, which is, what mechanics do I utilize to let everyone know what just occurred,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion?
Yes.
And what is it that I'm going to do to bring about compliance with that foul that was just committed?
Yes.
Okay. And you always, my recommendation has always been, in situations like this, always go to the commission table and tell them prior to the actions that you're taking, tell them the action that you're going to take and why you're going to do that. And that's critically important, because, you know, in states like New York, New Jersey, Nevada, Florida, Texas, you have commissions that have been around a long time, been together a long time. But sometimes we have fights in jurisdictions where you don't have established commissions.
Yeah.
And those commissioners may not be as familiar with the rules
Yeah.
as they should be.
Yeah.
And that is why I've always felt that you go to that commission table and you tell them
Yeah.
what it is that you're going to do. If necessary, tell them the rule that applies to what it is you're going to do.
Yes.
And then go out and do what it is you're going to do. So now everybody is on the same page,
Yeah.
which is important.
Which is very important. And understand this. There are fights where a fighter has been hit while he's down. Well, at least in my career, and I'm sure the same thing for you, Bird, I've only seen one disqualification, and I'm sure there's probably more out there, where a fighter hit a fighter while he was down and disrupted him so bad that he had to be disqualified. Usually, this happens, a fighter gets hit and he goes on his back, he's flat and he's down, and you usually do not get a follow-up hit while he's down. But fighters that get hit and go down to a knee and their torso is still upright, those are the guys that usually get it before those that are flat on their back. So I'm saying this to say that the knockouts where a fighter gets hit and he goes down and then he gets hit a couple of more shots after and he's completely out happens very, very rarely. They don't happen that often, but we have to be prepared.
Absolutely.
For if it happens.
Absolutely.
Regardless.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's only proper that when a fighter is down and they get hit with a serious blow that seriously incapacitates them to the point that they can't continue on, they should receive a severe penalty.
Yes.
And that's why the rule is written the way it is.
Yes.
But as with all sports, it's the interpretation of that rule and bringing about the compliance of that rule that's so important.
Yes.
Okay, and we see that in every sport.
We see it in every sport. And earlier you brought up a point in bringing the doctor in to check a fighter out. We don't want a fighter to have to continue after being hit while he's down, and now he's got to really clear and get his head back before he continues. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's so important that we have that doctor come in, because if he's cleared to continue fight, mm-hmm. shucks, we don't want him to walk into a sledgehammer because he wasn't that same 90 or 95 or 100% he was before he took that punch while he was down on the ground.
Right. And the thing about it is, as a referee, we don't know which punch caused the most damage.
Exactly.
Yeah, he got hit while he was down. Okay, that kind of got him. But was it that punch or was it the one that he took after that that really put him in a bad situation?
Exactly.
And the doctor is better equipped to make that determination or to help us to make that determination than us trying to do that on our own.
Yeah. Okay, here's a situation here where fighter in the white trunks is throwing combinations, seems to be in control, and right there you could see that, and here it is in a different angle, where just as the fighter touches the ground, he throws a left hook. Mm-hmm. And because of that left hook, he hit the fighter while he was down. Mm-hmm. Was it intentional? I don't think it was intentional. I thought that it was a part of the flurry of punches that he was throwing, mm-hmm. and because of it, like I mentioned earlier, this is a situation where, depending upon how the down fighter gets up, and in this case, the down fighter did get up, the referee did the proper thing and taking points from the fighter in the white, mm-hmm. and the fight resumed. It continued, mm-hmm. because that punch did not have a whole lot on it, though, again, like we've talked mm-hmm. about, I don't know how he feels after. I know the punches that he got hit with mm-hmm. was probably more damaging mm-hmm. than the left hook that he threw. And another thing for me always, Bird, is you can't put the same amount, or you tell me, on a punch when a fighter is lower than the way you've trained in hitting a guy straight out in front of you.
It depends on the person who's throwing the punch.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends on the guy who's throwing the punch. Right. But clearly, the fighter was not hurt to the extent that even that the doctor really needed to come in.
Exactly.
In this case.
In this case, yes.
And now, this is a case where and I think the referee only deducted 1 point from him in that fight. Now, what we said is there's a difference when there is what we call hesitation and consideration. When a fighter stops and thinks about what he's going to do and then does it. Yeah. And one of the most notable examples of this is Roy Jones versus forget the gentleman's name. But if you watch that, you can see clearly where he hits him. Okay, he goes down. He thought he had plenty of time to not do that again. So he thought about it. He hesitated, considered what he was going to do, and then he did it. Yeah. Okay, that clearly, and because the fighter in this case could not continue, Roy Jones was disqualified, which was the proper call.
Yeah, and as we can see on the monitor here, on mm-hmm. these other low hits after the bell, it's obvious that
Yes.
these guys are down, and they're not just taking one punch,
Yeah.
like with the fight that I just narrated,
Mhm.
but they're taking multiple punches,
Right.
2 or 3 punches.
And the other thing that's so important about this is when things like this happen, we don't know if the first punch was the one that caused the most severe damage or the second punch,
Yeah.
which is why, we always try to work in concert with the ringside physician
Yes.
to help us to make those decisions, because all of us are invested
Yes.
in the safety of that fighter.
Exactly.
So-
And some of these,
Yeah.
the fighter is just standing. The guy is on his knees,
Hmm.
and they're still throwing punches, and it
Yeah,
just
yeah.
makes you think.
Right.
Is there something more that we don't see? A lot of times they do a little jaw jerking to the lead up to the fight, and
Yeah.
then it gets personal, and then when one sees an advantage to maybe I
Yeah.
told you so type mentality,
Yeah.
then you get these extra punches
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah. But anyway, Kenny, I think that hopefully our fans out there, and this is really for you, and
Yes.
certainly for any young persons out there who think that they want to become a professional boxing referee. Hopefully, this segment has been helpful to help you to better understand not only the rules of this game, but how those rules are applied, why they are applied that way,
Yes.
and we're going to be doing this. We call this the official tip as part of the official call, and we're certainly going to be doing more of these as the year progresses.